You're tuned in to Recap Station. Today, we are going to talk about a drama, mystery, and horror film named Jacob's Ladder, starring Tim Robbins, Elizabeth P. ±A. And remember, spoilers ahead. Stay tuned. Helicopters roaming are the first sight of the film, followed by the scenes of a military camp in Vietnam. Some depressed, tired, and wounded soldiers are resting. A helicopter lands to deploy some soldiers, shifting the scene to the soldiers in the base camp who have woken up and have some comical interactions. A man in glasses named Jacob Singer is inside with some of the other soldiers. Suddenly the unit is under attack. Many of the soldiers are killed or wounded. Some of the soldiers exhibit abnormal behavior like seizures and bloody vomiting. Jacob makes a run for the jungle and gets stabbed by an unseen enemy. Jacob then wakes up on a train, and he asks a woman if his station has passed or not. The woman maintains her silence, and Jacob notices a sleeping homeless person seeing a conspicuous tail-like thing. Jacob runs away to notice that it was a closed subway station. It's 1975, and he is a clerk in a post office who lives in an apartment with his girlfriend as well as her colleague at work, Jezebel. Jacob is depressed as he misses his old family, especially his youngest son, Gabe, and goes through some visions of them similar to dreams. He also faces a back pain issue and, to try to fix it, goes to a doctor. During the illusions of his family, he notices a faceless, vibrating figure as well. While coming home, he narrowly evades a car as it tries to overrun him. When he tries to contact his doctor, he is told that there is no record of his being a patient, and that his doctor died a month ago in a car explosion. He discusses all of these confusing events with his girlfriend, and she tries to console him by telling him that closed subway stations are a pretty normal thing. She takes him to a party to calm him a bit, where he again starts to see some conspicuous creatures. A psychic reads his hand and tells him that he is already dead. He discounts it as a joke, ignores it, and goes to Jessie, his girlfriend. A creature is seen penetrating Jessie. Jacob starts screaming before he faints. At home, Jacob goes through a fever. When Jessie tries to take his temperature, it turns out to be 106. Jessie tries to cool him down with an ice bath, but Jacob screams and faints again. This time he wakes up in another reality where his first wife Sarah is alive, and he is with his older family. His son Gabe is alive as well. We see some first-person views of Jacob in Vietnam being wounded and discovered by other soldiers. Jacob again wakes in a bathtub surrounded by Jessie and a doctor, and Jacob then tries to research the demons he keeps on seeing. One of Jacob's prior platoon mates contacts him to reveal that he has been going through the same sort of symptoms, like hallucinations and illusions. But in no time, while coming back, his friend dies in a car explosion. Discussing after the funeral, survivors of the platoon confess that all of them had been having those symptoms. All of them agree on the fact that these are the side effects of some military experiments performed on them during the Vietnam campaign without telling them or asking them. They decide to hire a lawyer to fight their case for them. However, the lawyer backs down, saying that they never went to Vietnam, and that they are nothing more than psychos. Jacob's partners soon abandon the matter as well, leading Jacob to suspect that the military has threatened them. He is kidnapped by two men who take him into a car and tell him to stay away from this matter. Jacob fights them and escapes, but gets injured and is taken to a hospital, where some doctors treat him and Jacob faints. The doctor asks to take him for the X-ray, and two men take his stretcher to the cellar. The stretcher passes through a rough place on the way. Jacob merely sees a bicycle which he thinks belongs to his son Gabe, who died before he left for Vietnam in a car accident. Then the stretcher goes into a filthy place where different people are seen, some laying on the ground, some by the windows. It seems like a mental hospital, and a man is seen banging his head against the wall. Humans in the shape of creatures are also visible. A doctor stands in a place like an operation theater and tells him that he is already dead. Jacob tries to prove that he's not, but the doctor outnumbers him. He also sees his girlfriend Jessie as a nurse and asks her to get him out of there, but she doesn't respond. Meanwhile, Jacob fades again, seeing again the first-person perspective of him being rescued in a jungle. Then, finally, he awakes in the modern day where his first wife and his kids come to meet him, and Jacob tells his wife again and again that he is not dead, and she consoles him that, of course, he's not. Then, all of a sudden, his friend and therapist of his back appears and takes him out of the hospital to his place, where he quotes the 14th century Christian mystic, Meister Eckhart. Eckhart himself also saw hell. He said, "The only thing that burns in hell is the part of you that won't let go of life, your memories and your attachments. They burn them all away. But they're not punishing you," he said. "They're freeing your soul. So, if you're frightened of dying and you're holding on, you'll see devils tearing your life away. But if you've made your peace, then the devils are really angels, freeing you from the earth." Jacob comes back home and opens a box in which he has all of his degrees and certificates, of his Vietnam journey as well as his doctorate, finally running into a letter by his son, Gabe, while he was away in Vietnam. Again, the emotions drive him out into a flashback where he is teaching his youngest son Gabe to ride a bicycle, and all of a sudden, Gabe runs into a car accident, and the flashback is over. Jacob cries while sitting in his bed. Again sees a hallucination of a man with a vibrating head in the mirror. Suddenly, his girlfriend Jessie appears, asking where he has been. The phone rings, and Jessie takes the lead to answer. Jacob guides her not to tell anyone he's home. She picks it up and does as directed, but the caller says he is someone from Vietnam. Abruptly Jacob takes over the phone and the caller says that he was there in 1968 in Vietnam, and he was a chemist, who had conducted secret experiments on his platoon, and he wants to meet him. Jacob goes to meet him in front of the coffee truck, from where he takes him to some strange place. The chemist introduces himself as Michael Newman. He starts to tell his story that he was in jail for life imprisonment in 1968, and all of a sudden received a letter from the government that all of the charges can be removed from him if he serves on this secret mission, and he accepted the offer. In Vietnam, he had to work in a top-secret lab synthesizing mind-altering drugs. Newman told Jacob that the army thought that their platoon was not fighting to their full potential, so they decided to increase their potential by giving them a newly invented drug called ladder. This just stirs up their anger. Jacob asks the chemist about that attack, and the chemist reveals that it was a side effect of that drug. They basically had attacked each other. It was brother against brother. Jacob went into a deep shock after hearing this. Jacob is seen running on a road, getting into a cab, and asking the driver to take him home. The cab driver leaves him in front of a hotel where an older man greets him by name. Jacob enters the hotel into an apartment that seems to be the house of his old family. He experiences some flashbacks of him enjoying time with his family. The night shifts into the day, and he comes out of the room, seeing his son Gabe sitting on the stairs. Gabe takes his hand and brings him upstairs to a blinding light, and suddenly an Operation Theater light appears with two people standing beside the body of Jacob. One man says to the other, "He's gone," and both leave the camp. This is probably the camp in Vietnam.